Hasn't literally everybody that like these two people have gone against are the same kinds of people who have like um who have also made criticisms of Israel? I mean, maybe it is just conspiracy. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just like Hasbara in the sense of like you're just you're just making propaganda, but you don't want to make it too obvious, so you have to provide some pushback against Israel or something. But then even then, that just feels like it doesn't make sense, right? Why the fuck would you make any kind of propaganda if you weren't like fully 100% send?
Instead
Yeah.
of like tackling the issue head on and really talking about the politics of it or the policies or the ideology behind Israel's actions or Zionism or any number of different things that they could
Was it a
cover,
slot
they've
tuber? I
decided to
don't
cover this
fucking
from the
know.
aspect of drama by basically positioning themselves against people.
I'm guessing a slop tuber is like someone who doesn't put too much effort into their content and is completely lazy, right? Which describes this like Hasan exactly, pretty much. So yeah.
People like myself, yourself,
Hasan,
and
yeah.
many other content creators who were unafraid to openly state their opinion about Israel, even immediately after October 7. And they basically rode the wave of enmity for as long as they could. Having said that, however, they've been noticeably absent from the conversation, if you notice, like in the past couple of months, I would say.
As the tide is turning on public opinion. Yeah.
And the tide shift has already taken place, and now I think even for their fan bases, this is like a non-starter. So they have been forced to change tactics, I guess, and like hyper focus on drama on other things.
Yeah, it's like the whatever framework of content that's been used to see like, okay, this guy online said something that's like kind of left politics. I'm right wing, so I'm gonna clip that thing out of context, make a whole video about it, make a bunch of money off of it. The videos do well. Everybody makes the same video.
Wait, they're calling out Turkey Tom?
So that way it boosts it in the algorithm. They're all friends. They low-key collaborate or they low-key watch each other's videos. And it's the same video where they say, oh, that guy's doing terrorism. That's the framework of how the content ecosystem works. And then a genocide starts happening or a genocide escalates to the point of a very visible and...
Just FYI, okay? Just FYI. Noah Samsen is making a good argument, right? You have a bunch of content creators that low-key watch everyone's videos, okay? And they take talking points from the guy on top, right? Not because they've been told to spread these talking points, but because they're like watching like bits and pieces of like these talking points, right? And then they agree with them. So then they spread that around, and it kind of proliferates. And eventually Hasan gets a hold of it, right? I'm describing Destiny's anti-fans, right? Like, this is how every single content ecosystem works. The same thing happens with gacha game drama. The same thing happens with Hasan's orbit. The same thing happens with Asmongold's orbit, right? This is how every single like content creator coalition or alliance works, right? But yeah, I mean, like, I can't believe like we applied the same principle to everything, but then when it comes to, I guess, hating Destiny, now it's just suddenly like such a fucking hard concept to explain. But you know, whatever. Okay. Very cool.
obvious and well documented genocide. This is a totally unprecedented thing, but what happens is they apply that same framework to an actual genocide, and all of your criticism of the genocide is towards...
Just FYI, okay? Like, obviously, if I ever orbit someone or whatever the fuck, guess what? Like, of course I'm taking talking points from them. That's silly. You can say the same about Destiny. Yeah, and you know the difference is that I don't deny that. The difference is that I don't deny that and play dumb, all right? And try to gaslight my opponents, okay? I own it, and then I move on.
the people that are opposing it and fighting against it. And at that point, you're helping the genocide. Like, you're backing it. That was the big thing they got mad at me and tried to sue me for, is like, you can either fight against the genocide or back a genocide. There's no middle ground here. And if the only time you spend talking about it is attacking the people that criticize it and attacking the people that have, been vocal anti-Zionists, or attacking the groups in the world that are resisting militarily as terrorists or whatever, then you're helping. You're just backing. It's one or the other, right? And they chose that one because they don't like a YouTuber, right?
I think it's not necessarily just that a bunch of drama YouTubers defended Israel because they wanted to attack one guy and thought this was a great way to farm clicks and do drama. It's the fact that there are plenty of people in those audiences that didn't go, this seems weird. This feels like you're just attacking this guy because you hate this guy. You're using this genocide as like a point of drama.
A lot of them, they don't have the context when...
I don't even... Dude, it's so crazy because I'm pretty sure when it comes to Hasan, is it the case that people are convinced by your rhetoric? Like, does he think whenever he beefs and complains and bitches and whines about like the drama people, right, who make videos about him? I wonder, I wonder if he's pulling any drama motherfuckers to his side. I personally don't think so. I don't think so, right? Unless you're talking about, the people who hate Destiny, right? Who have to defend Hasan because they want to spite Destiny so much, right? So yeah, like in that case, sure, maybe they're probably gonna maybe watch Hasan, but even then they would say, yeah, I still don't agree with Hasan a lot, right? So the thing is that like I don't know who he's trying to convince whenever he's trying to address this drama, right? I think that whenever you do need to address drama, like something where it's something that's more serious to you and actually harms your career, and it's not like the fun kind of drama, then in that case, you want to be really strategic about it, right? But it doesn't feel like Hasan is taking it seriously whenever he does something like this, right? Fushao, do you think that Hasan really cares about Palestinians? Like emotionally, he feels something about them? Yes, I do. I think that he emotionally feels something about them just because he makes himself feel that way. That's why, right? I think that he truly believes himself to be like the savior of Palestinians or something, like it's an ego thing, right? He thinks that if he could spread rhetoric that there is this genocide that's going on and he could potentially save Palestinians, then yeah, he can be proud of himself, right? But the thing is that he has a humongous ego issue, and just because I'm playing Borderlands 2, I think that calling him Handsome Jack is just very apt, okay? Handsome Jack, okay? All right. The road to damnation is paved with good intentions, I guess. I don't know.
You say a clip of, it doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th, that doesn't change the dynamic that Palestinians shouldn't be subject to genocide. When they take the first part and then they make a whole 20-minute video about how you love rape.
It doesn't even matter. None of this justifies that Palestinians have a right to dignity, a right to emancipation, a right to live fucking free lives, free from this occupation. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much.
Part of running defense for Hamas is downplaying the violence, specifically the sexual violence, which he's done a lot of.
Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people can't contend with. Like, the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. They're not like so good. They have magical bullets.
Even though all you were saying was Palestine should be free and not genocided, of course, people are going to, come to a less informed conclusion, especially when they are slop tuber audiences, where they don't have the context. And I think, like, a lot of times taking the opportunity to provide more context is the most helpful thing to do with those people. But
oh, yeah, the Atlantic posted Hamas wants Gaza to starve. This is by Ahmed Fuad Alkhatib. You might be familiar with who this person is, maybe because you saw me cover him before. He's attacked me as well. He is the only supposedly pro-Palestinian voice who is Palestinian himself. Ethan Klein had him on his broadcast. They literally fundraised for the Atlantic Council, which Ahmed Fuad Al-Khatib is a part of. Atlantic Council is a pro-NATO right.
Right, I remember this drama going down, right? Like, he is someone who claims to be, at the very least, someone who is a true Palestinian, and he came from Palestine, and he has family from Palestine, and he pushes back hard against people like Hasan. So yeah, and I remember like Hasan's orbiters wanting to run like a fucking coverage string on him, if I remembered. Yeah, if I remember. And it's just like entirely cringe, right? He's just got all of his like fucking orbiters to like all his orbiters just begin to like dogpile on this guy. Just because Ethan Klein had him on to spread rhetoric, but yeah. Hasan never mentions Hamas in a negative way. He doesn't. And here's the thing. You don't even need to mention Hamas all the time or condemn Hamas all the time, because I get the fact that it's soy and cringe, right? But the thing is that, like, he doesn't mention it once. Not even, like, once, right? Unless he's defending himself. That's, like, the only time, right? But yeah. Throwback to the inward arc, dude. I mean, we could go back and watch like Destiny's like video with Hasan. I remember that at the very least. Yeah.
Wing think tank.
Funded by the U.S. Defense Department, like
Yes.
primarily.
Yes.
I work at the Atlantic Council, where I am a resident senior fellow, but also I run Realigned for Palestine through the Atlantic Council, and we have like our own standalone website, realignedforpalestine.org. There is a donate button, so like certainly folks can donate there.
We're gonna do a deeper dive into this because now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, people are recognizing that Israel is deliberately starving the Palestinian population. It's one of those things that's like an undeniable war crime of epic proportions, and it's brought out harrowing images that even mainstream media has had to cover. More and more people are recognizing this devastating reality. So of course, as time goes on, those who are tasked with defending Israel in its weakest moments for PR are getting more ridiculous. He is different than the average like Israeli ultranationalist, right? He's not. He is a collaborator, okay? He's a collaborator with the Israeli state that works with an American think tank that is, of course, understandably pro-Israel. America is pro-Israel. It is an American State Department cutout. And as time goes on, these guys are going to become increasingly belligerent. But of course, The Atlantic wrote this piece. Hamas wants Gaza to starve.
I want to take a pause here to cut in and go over this article briefly because on stream we ended up forgetting to read through it. Hasan and I both have ADHD. Do you have ADHD?
You consider that Hasan will consider someone terrorist besides IDF and America? I'm not sure about that, just mainly because he never goes over it. But no, I don't think so, no. Actually, no, he might. But I guess it really depends, I don't know.
By chance.
Yes, I do. Why?
I do too. This is mainly to respond to the people that seem to think that Alkhatib is exposing some secret truth that justifies placing the blame for Israel's genocidal starvation campaign on Hamas. It's quite silly. For example, Alkhatib describes Israel as having the goal of separating the civilian population from Hamas. This is a lie. Israel's war is not against Hamas, it's against the Palestinians.
Wait. So if they're all part of the same group, isn't Israel justified in genocide? Wait, what?
Palestinian people, and it's been that way since day one. There's no debate on this either. It's the consensus of every major independent human rights group, humanitarian organizations, international legal bodies, and most genocide scholars. For him to uncritically present Israel's characterization of its intent here, without qualification, ignoring all of the evidence to the contrary, he's just laundering IDF propaganda. That's what this is. Al-Khatib next describes a surge of trucks being seized by a combination of desperate civilians, lawless gangs, clan-affiliated thugs, and merchants of death. So first, the aid that Israel started to let through in late July.
Genocide scholars, I think that's incredibly silly. I think that if you personally cannot make an argument by yourself on what a genocide is or something, I think it's silly, right? The thing is that like you can quote people after you're done making the argument, right? So the thing is that like I just whenever people quote like experts or something like that, like I'm sorry, who's making the argument? Are you the one making the argument? Or are the scholars making the argument? Do you believe the scholar? Like, oops. Like, are you using the same argument as the scholar? Like, which one is it? Like,
is virtually nothing. It is, according to the independent organizations that usually provide aid in Gaza that Israel is blocking, minuscule compared to what is needed to prevent widespread death due to starvation. Al-Khatib describes this less than bare minimum aid as a surge of trucks, which is a subtle way of obscuring that reality. When he describes the gangs and thugs that are looting the aid, the groups he's referring to are not Hamas. They are ISIS-linked criminal gangs that are backed by the IDF. He leaves this out, though, and instead makes a vague allusion to merchants of death. Now, he doesn't outright mention Hamas here, but the clear implication with this vague language in an article about Hamas is that they are the ones stealing aid. This is false. It is a lie that Israel and its propagandists have told throughout the last 2 years to justify.
Hamas doesn't steal aid now? What? Where do you think the starvation problem even comes from? Where do you think the starvation problem comes from, buddy? Is it not the case that aid is stolen all the time by extremist groups? We're not even talking about Hamas, okay? This is like a consistent attribute of different extremist groups in the world, okay? All of these people, if international aid is given, they will forever try to steal the aid. The reason why the Houthis are, the reason why Yemenis people are constantly starving isn't because they're not receiving enough international aid. It's because the Houthis are stealing the aid. That's what's going on, okay? But yeah, this is like, again, this is just complete delusion, right? Yeah. Not delusion, sorry, this is lie. They're lying, okay? That's what they're doing, they're lying.
By Israel's genocidal campaign of weaponized starvation. It has been debunked by both sources from within the Israeli military itself, as reported in the New York Times, as well as analysis done by USAID. I found this article here through Ground News.
It's done by USAID? Wait.
As well as analysis done by USAID. I found this article here through Ground News, which is the sponsor of today's video. Part of the problem with Alkhatib's article is that it ignores sources which contradict his framing. But this isn't unique to him. This is how Western media outlets operate. This is reflected in part by how of the
Those reports also show that Hamas has diverted up to 25% of aid supplies to its fighters or sold them to civilians. No proof Hamas routinely stole UN aid, Israeli military said. Wait, routinely? In fact, the Israeli military officials said the UN aid delivery system, which Israel derived, was largely effective. Israel coming under more than 100 aid agencies and rights groups warned this past week of mass starvation. No famine caused by Israel. USAID finds no evidence of... Okay. Am I missing something? Do you think that this lefty's internal process of evading confirmation bias when they are doing research? No. It just says that they're not routinely stealing aid, which is fine, I guess.
74 articles that covered this story, only 8 of them, or 17%, came from right-leaning sources.
Nice.
Ground News
Very
has a
cool.
feeture called Blind Spot, which tracks when this sort of thing happens to see when information is being left out on political grounds. Ground allows you to compare the framing of these articles too, and when we do that we can see some pretty important contrasts. The Jerusalem Post, for example, after accurately
Israel has repeatedly accused Hamas of diverting aid. Reports and analysis have acknowledged that Hamas has found ways to tax, extort, and divert aid. Videos have circulated allegedly showing armed Hamas operatives seizing food trucks.
recounting the claim about USAID in its article title, immediately undercuts the analysis, writing in the sub.
Do you think that this has a internal process of evading confirmation bias when they're doing research? No. A lot of times, like they will actively like do research on the spot, right? Like in order to confirm what they're talking about. Like I've seen multiple times in debates, or whenever they're trying to debate or something like that. What's going on is that instead, you know, they're just like looking up facts on the spot in order to win that one point that they know nothing about. So yeah.
Subheading, the study also noted that because Palestinians who receive aid cannot be vetted, it was possible that US-funded supplies went to administrative officials of Hamas. So, while we have no evidence that this happened, it may have happened by accident while we were feeding crowds of thousands of starving people, but we're actually not sure. Meanwhile,
I mean, maybe there really isn't evidence of Hamas stealing aid, which is fine. I accept them.
Haaretz, which is one of the most Israel-critical outlets that
But USAID is no longer, but this is 15 days old. These will talk about food and do not mention Islam, Hijazi. You know they are propagandists. That's why Al Jazeera ignores her story. Look her up.
operates from within the country, noted in the subheading that many of the stolen or lost aid incidents were actually due to Israeli military action. Both articles start from the same point, but veer in opposite directions with the subheadings. Ground News has these tools: bias distribution tracking, article headline comparison, ownership information, and factuality filters, all on a platform with no ads. It is subscriber funded, which keeps the analysis neutral and helps to avoid sensationalism and clickbait content. Go to ground.news/Noah to stay fully informed on issues that matter to you. Save 40% for unlimited access to the Vantage plan through my link this month only. All right, now let's get back to the article we were looking at. Alkhatib next cites anonymous, unverified sources from Gaza, which should be taken with a grain of salt, to say the least, when they are being quoted by...
Well, after a Google search, ChatGPT says yes. So there is that.
By a genocide denier of the genocide of his own people, no less. And yes, Alkhatib is a genocide denier. Here he is responding to a photo of a Palestinian man sitting in a chair in the ruins of Gaza. So which is it? A genocide, that's in quotes, or a victory for the resistance? People experiencing genocide don't generally emerge flexing and showing off in a cross-legged posture with a cup of tea to collect likes and shares. If you read the legal definition of genocide, you will notice no stipulations about photos of people drinking tea. This is a Nazi tier argument. You know, they had dinners in Auschwitz. How could it be a genocide? It's a troublingly normalized argument for Zionists right now, especially as they attempt to deny the widespread starvation in Gaza, but a Nazi argument nonetheless. This tweet is from January.
Well, you have to make the affirmative argument, right? You have to be the one to provide the evidence that there is a genocide going on. No, like you can't be the one going like, well, we already proved that there is a genocide going on. And then now we have to show that people are trying to deny the genocide and have arguments against the genocide, right? Like, you're the one that has to prove it. Is there any private orders that are passed down from Israeli government in order to do genocide? And if there is a genocide, how do they genocide the Palestinians in Israel, right? In Israel main, Israel proper. You can make an argument for apartheid, sure, but I don't know about genocide. I still don't think this is the case. And I think that this is important just mainly because everything hinges on this, right? All the way from Destiny's anti-fans to Hasan and his Orbit's argument, right? Like, this is it. This is the core issue, right? Because if there is a genocide, everything that the anti-fans and everything Hasan does is completely justified. But I don't think it is. That's the issue, right? Are you saying that Noah's retarded? I think that he's just a little special boy, okay? And he needs special attention.
January of 2025, well after consensus had been reached that what Israel is doing is a genocide. And if you search through, you'll notice that the only time he uses the word genocide is to complain about the people that are against it. When Alkhatib claims in this article that Hamas actually wants a famine in Gaza, he's leaving out some important context, which is that based on the negotiations, what Hamas actually wants is a permanent ceasefire.
I think this isn't just about whether it's no, it's about this like Alkhatib person who was on Ethan Klein's show, right? The reason why they're attacking him is because he's a Palestinian that is anti-Ethan Klein, anti-Hasan, that's why. And he appeared on Ethan Klein's show. That's the only reason they're attacking him. And part of the reason why, they're attacking him is because he doesn't conform to their fucking narrative, right? They don't want... They can tell, like, oh yeah, this isn't the perfect victim that we want this person to be, right? No, actually, yeah, fuck it, because he's anti-Hamas, that's why, right? I don't know why we're pretending otherwise. It's because he's anti-Hamas, period, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, like, Alkhatib, this person, okay, or whatever, alright, he is anti-IDF still, no? Like, the way everything that he advocates for is still, like, anti-IDF. Yeah.
That's been the terms of all the agreements they've offered for the last 2 years. And the obstacle to this lasting ceasefire has always been the Israeli government. They want it to be temporary, so...
Like this person literally had family members, allegedly, according to him at the very least, that he's had family members who were bombed to death by the IDF. Yeah, the rhetoric around the lefty just feels like either you say Hamas is base or a genocide collaborator. Yeah. I mean, again, the only reason they're going after him, okay, again, is because he was used by Ethan Klein on the show. That's the only reason.
they can break it and continue the genocide. You can speculate all you want about people's internal desires, but the facts show that Israel is the only one, aside from the US, that has the power to end the genocide.
Noah's useless out of the monologuing video essay format. You could 180 no scope him in a debate, Foodshops. Dude, I'm up for talking to Noah whenever he likes. I do not have that much clout, okay? Jesus.
To let aid through and stop the starvation, but they aren't doing that.
If Noah Samsen wouldn't even talk to Vosh anymore because Vosh fucking demolished him, there's no chance he will talk to anyone else, okay? Because Vosh is it. Vosh is the final boss, like in that circle, right? Right, in the fucking lefty debate bro circle at the time, right?
Because they are committing a genocide, right? Alkhatib
No,
later,
debate,
once again,
yes,
frames
I know what you're
Israel's
talking
deliberate
about, don't worry.
campaign of starvation as a legitimate war tactic, calling it the lever they're pulling against Hamas. When again, it has been established by everyone except Israel, the
Don't
US,
worry,
and
buddy.
guys like this, that it is a genocidal act being committed not against Hamas, but against the entire Palestinian population of Gaza. The so-called war aim is described by Alkhatib as Hamas wanting to worsen Israel's global standing. He grants no agency here to Israel, though, who is the sole party responsible for worsening its global image by committing a genocide. You know, Israel is taking the actions that create the images we're seeing in Gaza. Widespread destruction, children blown to pieces, babies starving to death. If Hamas wants the world to hate
Need more Destiny on lives to get the clout off of Noah? Yeah, sure, but I don't even know if like Destiny is ever gonna come back. On stream. Who the fuck knows? Okay. Listen, we're on good terms, okay? We are. But the thing is that like I just unless it's like something significant, I just don't really see a reason why we might collaborate again in the future. But I do appreciate him coming on.
Israel for doing that, then good. They should want that, and everyone should want that. Alkhatib later writes, online supporters of the terror group have
I like to think that we have some chemistry, but you know.
consistently attacked any efforts to alleviate the crisis. In posts and videos, they have dismissed efforts to send in food by convoys of trucks from Egypt and Jordan, pointing to the chaotic scenes as desperate Gazans scramble for aid. They have likewise attacked the airdrops that are now underway and called for them to be stopped immediately. All right, so first, Israel and the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation have been mowing down starving Palestinians seeking aid every day for months. They are shooting and killing children deliberately. They are making them run across miles of desert and crowding them into cages and killing them. None of this is disputed. It's all been confirmed by both Israeli soldiers and US military contractors. But here, Al-Khatib describes all of this vaguely and passively as, quote, chaotic scenes of people, quote, scrambling for aid. Yes, there is chaos, and yes, people are scrambling for aid. But the reason they're doing that is because Israel is shooting them and killing them with tanks and drones and naval ships. And the reason they're even scrambling for aid at all is because Israel has starved them for 2 years straight. The airdrops don't work. They're nowhere near enough aid, and they are literally killing people by crushing them or
Hamas can just give up. I like how in every single solution, it like one part that's never included is like Hamas giving up. Like it's never anything that they consider, is it? Right? It's never about Hamas giving up. It's all about Israel giving up the fight against Hamas, right? So then like I guess starving children can eat again or something. But like Palestine will literally always be in the fucking lock hold, right? And here's the thing, they'll never talk about this at the very least, okay? They'll never talk about like Palestinians who are extremely anti-Hamas. The reason why they constantly bring up the conflation between Hamas and Palestine, and they say that these are the same groups, is because they want them to be grouped together as one, all right? They are saying that all Palestinians is Hamas and all Hamas is Palestinians, okay? They want to say that, but that's not even true, right? All the fucking Palestinian protesters who have, like, argued and protested against Hamas, do you know what happened to them? They got killed. They got killed for protesting against Hamas. Hamas doesn't allow any more elections. They don't allow a peaceful transfer of power. But like the thing is that they'll never talk about any of this, right? They don't talk about the entire context. I think it's okay to actually talk about dead children or whatever the fuck, right? If after you've talked about the entire truth, right? But the fact that you don't even talk about the entire truth in the first place is unhinged. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, you know, there you go. Also, by the way, I just want to say this, all right? The people crushed ran towards the drop date and stood under it. Wait, really? Holy shit. Also, can I just say this, okay? You guys know who Ogre Boy is? The person who debated Hutch and Lonerbox as well, I think. The person who is like a fucking anti-fan person. No? Okay. Apparently they know who I am. Apparently that's a thing. So, you know, I just thought that was interesting. If you don't know, yeah, this person is like a fucking JStock viewer person who debated like Hutch and Lonerbox. Yeah.
Landing in the sea and forcing starving Palestinians to swim where many have drowned.
The aid drops continue. Dangerous and haphazard and nowhere near enough. And again, the desperate scramble to reach what they deliver.
Why the fuck are all of these like fucking news fucking sources talking about this shit as if like it was like a fucking zoo, or it's like fucking Planet Earth, the new documentary on Planet Earth or some shit. Like, why the fuck do all these like news sources like talk about it like that? Like, why the fuck are you dehumanizing Palestinians like this? It's so fucking pathetic. And also another thing as well, right? I hate how much we give Israel versus Palestine so much attention. And just FYI, this is a fucking boring ass topic, okay? It's objectively a boring topic. If you disagree, you're wrong, okay? It is what it is. But like, again, this is not an exciting topic for me. I fucking hate Israel versus Palestine. But the reason why this is an important topic is because this is all the rhetoric is about these days, right? It's been about this for like more than like 1 to 2 years now at this point. I don't even know. How many years has it been? Fuck. Did I like grow an inch taller during that time? Fuck me, dude. Holy shit. I'm so fucking tired of IVP. You know? The reason why I forced myself to learn a little bit about the issue is because like it feels like everyone is talking about it, so I have to like read up on it, right? I have to do research on it. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like an obligation, right? That's what it feels like. So I kind of fucking hate it now. Yeah. Like, I would rather talk about even the Ukrainian war than anything else, but no one ever talks about Ukraine. I wouldn't even mind if they talked about this issue nonstop, right? If it's balanced out by Ukraine, but no one ever talks about Ukraine. It's insane. They call Israel colonizers, but they won't call Russia a bunch of colonizers all the time. But Jesus. Anyway. Whatever. And also another thing is that there's an actual genocide going on in Ukraine, and it matches the criteria a lot closer. Like a lot closer, okay? Like a lot closer, yeah. So I'm just saying, Israel-Palestine takes away from attention from the Ukraine or even actual Muslim genocide of the Uyghurs. Well, yeah, but it's almost as if that's by design, isn't it? It's almost as if that's by design, isn't it? It's almost as if there is some kind of rhetorical infiltration done by other countries that hate democracy and want an oligarchy to fixate on this issue for their own advantage. A grand conspiracy? Yes, this is my conspiracy. I unironically believe that Russia and China and all these other like fucking one-state countries are like they have to place at least some part, right? At least even a little bit in like fucking who's behind it? What? From the very top, Putin and Xi Jinping, right? If it's not Xi Jinping or Putin, it's just from their fucking one parties, right? Yeah, that's unironically what I believe. I mean, call it schizo if you want, but this is just something I feel like is just a reasonable thing to believe in. I don't know.
There's fighting and gunshots, young people risking their lives.
I mean, why the fuck is the Iran, like, why the fuck is the Iran Twitter so fucking active? I don't fucking know. Like, trying to get the attention of all the fucking pro-Palestinian people, right? They want to co-opt that pro-Palestinian rhetoric for themselves, right? Against Israel. There's many things they don't talk about that make us sus. Uyghurs, Tigray, Nagorno. They don't talk about the Kurds. They don't talk about Turkish. They don't talk about Turkey, right? They don't talk about Erdogan. They don't talk about they don't talk about Russia, they don't talk about China, they don't talk about they don't even talk about like fascist regimes that aren't even like ones that like America either. When was the last time you saw anyone talk about like Duterte? Right? Back then, right? Like that's an issue that, you know, is also like fucked up, right? But they don't ever talk about these fascist governments. They don't ever go against these fascist governments, right? It's only when America's brought up. Do you know what these people are? They're American anti-fans, okay? They're anti-fans. They're political anti-fans. That's what they are, right? Damn snarkers, right? Damn snarker anti-fans, okay? Damn snarker anti-fans, all right? America anti-fan, all right? That's what they are, all right? American snarkers. US snarkers? United snarkers? I don't fucking know, dude. North Korea is a really big one, okay? If you really care about human rights violations and people being condemned to death, yeah, North Korea has systemic work camps where people are put to death, yeah.
For a handful
I don't even know why the fuck I'm calling them work camps. They're like death camps. They're literally death camps.
of supplies.
So, yeah.
52 aid-related deaths just in the last 24 hours, according to the Gaza Health Ministry.
There's only one real solution here to stop mass death from starvation, and that's Israel lifting its genocidal siege. Alkhatib opted not to cite any of these.
Yeah, it's literally American hate watchers.